ResortLoop.com is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Joffrey's now offers coffee subscriptions. You can order a 3, 6, or 12-month subscription. You can choose from 3 collections: the Flavored Coffee Collection, the Roastmasters Collection, or the Disney Signature Coffee Collection. Each collection includes 3 bags per month. With the Joffrey's Coffee subscriptions, never run out of great coffee again. Learn more and order at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The body of water that you see to the right of our forward motion is the Seven Seas Lagoon. The Seven Seas Lagoon is a man-made creation that took 3 years and the removal of millions of cubic yards of earth to complete.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. This is ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic. Joining me on the show, Jeremy Hunt. Hey, Jeremy.
Hello, Tim.
Pleasure.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always a good time recording with you.
It is, and we're gonna love and hate. But before we do, we have a visitor.
We do. Joining us on the show, Looper Nation Live mega superstar, Stephen Bakari.
Thanks. So excited to be here.
Oh,
I am personally just honored to be in the room with him.
he is, as advertised, a superstar over at Looper Nation Live. Well, guys, we're here. We're going to talk hotels. We're going to do some love and hate.
Oh, man. What are we loving and what are we hating?
Well, Stephen actually reached out to me. He was like, Tim, I have a hotel I want to do. And I was like, what is it? What is it, Stephen? Tell us what you wanted to talk about, Stephen.
I was ready to talk about Port Orleans. It is the family home resort. If it could be a DVC home, we've probably spent enough to own it by now.
Port Orleans, your unofficial home resort. Unofficial, official.
And I'm excited about this, too, because it is also up there for the Hunt family favorite list.
Oh, nice. This is going to be a good conversation.
Yes.
So I want to start the Love and Hate show with our guest, of course. Jeremy, I'm sure you agree.
Absolutely.
Stephen, what's your first? I always like to start off with love. It's the kind of guy I am.
Big softy.
It's true.
Yeah. First love is the boat transportation to Disney Springs. I love alternative modes of transportation. Anything to not be on a bus. And the ride is beautiful. It's relaxing. It's quiet. Pass by a couple different hotels and a golf course. Much like the boat transportation around the Seven Seas and Bay Lake, it's nice. It's a welcome change of pace. And then it takes you down Springs, where you can transfer to other parts of Disney Springs or to some of the other hotels, Old Key West or Saratoga.
I think people that stay at Disney resorts forget that this isn't a thing elsewhere. And I remember years ago, we came to some of these resorts that were on waterways, and I was just totally stunned that they would allow me to ride around on these boats for free. And it's often like the first attraction that you get to do. Mm-hmm. And so, as a matter of fact, if you take the boat, you guys correct me, but I think this is true. If you take the boat from Riverside to the Springs, I think it's the longest water taxi on property, the longest water taxi ride on property.
That sounds right. And
it's what would you say, Stephen, 20 some minutes end to end?
Yes. Yep. Without a doubt.
So you roll in from parts unknown and get checked in. You want to go down to the Springs to grab some food and whatever you do. You get on the water taxi there, and you've got a 20-minute ride just to unplug from the world, and it is one of my favorites. And I haven't done it in a really long time because I suppose we should mention this. These resorts are closed right now. Sad trombone, but they are. But here to the water taxi, water transportation love.
Jeremy,
what about you, Tim?
Me? Well, I was going to say, one, I did have boat access to Disney Springs on my list. But I had another one on the list that's very similar. And we'll kind of talk about it here. I guess it's a great time. 3 words, Sasagula.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the river is what the boat rides on.
Mm-hmm.
But the landscaping around the river through this resort is fantastic.
Indeed.
And the view from the room, if you have a river view room, is just phenomenal. Now, I understand there are outdoor corridors and there's people walking in front of your window as you might have your blinds open enjoying the view. But it's just so fantastic because a view you don't really get anywhere else on property.
I agree. And it's going to sound like I'm just riffing on the points you guys make here, but literally both of these are on my list too, because we stayed in Alligator Bayou at one point.
Oh, yes.
And we stayed in one of the buildings that you just literally go out on your little balcony there, and it was right, but we had the sidewalk and then the little bit of greenery and then the river. And so you could just take your coffee out there and watch the water taxis go by. And man, that's something that the resort offers that may be an intangible, but it is well worth a part of the price, in my opinion.
I think part of it is that the sort of natural habitat and the plants and wildlife that are growing really suit the theming of it. So you see Spanish hanging moss and you're walking around, even if you see an alligator. And I mean, it kind of makes sense as to what you're seeing, and it just works really well. It feels more natural than some of, the more artificial creations that are out there.
Yeah, he's in his bayou. It's his home.
Exactly.
Stephen, what's your favorite section of Port Orleans? Because it has several sections now.
Yes. I grew up going to French Quarter, always dreaming of Riverside. But as a kid, just seeing that wheel outside of the mill at the food court was really what drew me. So I really enjoy both, but we tend to stay more at Riverside.
Jeremy, do you have a love?
I have lots of love for these things, and I agree. Riverside is our favorite, but there's lots of loves to go around, and I'll get to some of those. But I want to talk about a little detail. I don't know those among you loopers have experienced this, but the horse rides. Have either of you done this?
I have not.
No, I don't think so.
So at Riverside, outside the food court, and forgive me for not remembering it's something Mill food court area. River Mill, maybe? Anyway, outside of that area where the boat comes, the water taxi comes to dock, is just a really lovely area out there. And as Stephen said, has the water wheel, and I think you can even do some canoeing, or you used to be able to. But right there, they have horse and carriage rides for not that much money. I mean, for something really cool like that. And we, on a whim, one evening, we did this. And so you get in your little carriage, and they take you all around. They actually go across the bridge and then over to the section where the big mansion-looking places are, by the water there, and they come all the way down and back around. It's quite a long ride that you take, and we were ferried around by the horse Bob, and Bob was amazing. We still ask about Bob to this day, and it was just a great time. Our kids were a lot smaller at the time, and they utterly loved it, and it was worth every penny.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have not done that. I've done these Surrey rides like they have at the Boardwalk, but we had not done a horse ride.
I didn't even know.
Now you know, and if you find yourself there, take a horse ride. You won't regret it.
Stephen, what do you have for another love?
So we talked about it just slightly, but the theming is really cool because you do very much get two resorts sort of for the price of one. You go to the French Quarter and you have brickwork, wrought iron railings, the street signs and lamps, gold leaf fountains like you're in Jackson Square or on Bourbon Street. There's the green and gold, purple elements all over, like Mardi Gras is kicking off. And you walk around and there's little areas that they call the different squares. So as I mentioned, they have the hanging Spanish moss, and they have jazz music playing in the background. And then it's funny you mentioned people walking outside your room. It kind of works here. Usually an exterior hallway is somewhat intrusive, but that's kind of what it's like on Bourbon Street, where they have those outside wrought iron railings on the second floor balconies. And it just works. It just really works with the theming. I think I'd be disappointed if they added a tower here, just because New Orleans is known for its being like 2 stories and you're done, all the way around. So I hope they keep it that way. But so that's the one side. And then you've got flip side over at Riverside is sort of the grand pillars and high ceilings, bright whites and tans, painted wood, the mill, the water tower. It's got your general store. It's Southern style buildings. You were talking, Jeremy, about the old manors, the like larger white buildings that have the fountains leading up to each of the rooms. And I don't know, it looks more of like the suburban or rural area of New Orleans. And I know that the room refreshes now feature Tiana and Naveen along with their prince and princess friends and things like that. So the theming works at this hotel.
I didn't know about that retheme, but I like that.
We went in for a short trip unexpectedly, and they had redone it, and we were in a Tiana Naveen room, and they have a light up headboard that looks like it's of the swamp area. And they have magic carpet rugs and genie faucets. So it's supposed to be like a welcoming gift from the other princesses and princesses on the Disney property. It was cool. It was different. I did not know about it till I walked into the room. I wasn't expecting it.
Tim, what about you? Do you have a love to throw in?
You know what I love? I'm sure the other pool is nice. I only remembered going to the pool at Riverside. Was it Old Man's Island? I was just actually trying to search it up.
Yep.
I just like the kind of the theming of it. It's not a huge pool. It's not like, Stormalong Bay at all. But they give me that vacation-y themed pool feel that I just love.
Is that the one that's fairly close to the main building there?
I believe so. It's got like a...
Across the bridge?
I believe it's across the bridge.
Yep.
It's got like a water feature of like a... I don't know what we would call it. Not a gutter, but something that goes across and it splits off going down. Just kind of adds to the ambiance, and I do enjoy falling water.
I agree completely. That pool is, and the pool just seems, I don't know why, but it seems more family friendly than some other pools.
Right.
Everyone is there to have a good time. You're right. It is close to sort of the food court. So, who cares if you're being noisy late, because you're not bothering rooms. You're out in you're out near the public at that point. I completely agree. Absolutely love that pool. Awesome family pool and nice area.
That's a good segue to my next love, and that's the food courts.
Ooh.
So as we have discussed, I like food, first off, and second off, I like a good food court as well. I know that's not something that everybody can say, but I do. I enjoy a good food court, and I will give you some positive here, and then I'll throw in a little hate. And you can just act like we did it later, but I'm just going to give it to you now. So the food courts, we absolutely love here. We actually love both of them. At this point, if I had to recommend one, it would be the one at French Quarter. I would not have said that years ago, and here's why. Okay, so before we get into that, the food courts are quite large. They have lots of selections. As you know, you walk in and they have the different little I don't know what you call them, the little walk-up counters, and they all have the different varieties of food and some good seating. At Riverside, I think it's a significant amount larger of a seating area, and they used to have these offerings there, one in particular, which was a pasta station, which in my opinion was one of the best places to get counter service food anywhere on property, because you would step up, you would pick your pasta, you would pick your meat, which could be like meatballs or shrimp or whatever, you pick your sauce, and then it was kind of like a Subway deal where you would pick your, I'm not going to say toppings, but you would pick ingredients to go in your pasta dish, and they would hand it off to a couple of guys manning a large stove there, and they would cook your pasta dish right in front of you, put it in your container, put it on your tray, and off you would go, get your drink and dessert. And it would still be piping hot when you got to your table. Unfortunately, and here's the little bit of the hate, they've done away with that, and now it's a generic pizza station. The last time it was open, with the quality of pizza, kind of like Pizza Rizzo or something like that you'd find in the parks, like Pizza Fari, which has I think you guys can agree is non-optimal. and so there's a little bit of hate. Unfortunately, that one has gone down. The last time we were at the food court over in French Quarter, though, we loved it. They have some really good, unique offerings over there, and we got the beignets. We didn't get the ones that were injected with booze. They do have those, by the way. But we just got the beignets, and they were delicious. It's one of the few places where we've never had an issue visiting and going to the food court, and then I'll let you guys dive back in. But even though we've been local-ish, we used to live about an hour and 20 away, we would sometimes at the end of the day just jet over to Riverside because security was great. Some of the most friendly security people, they would always let us in to come to the food court, and you could go in and get a really good priced meal for your family. And yeah, so what do you guys think?
Have you had the beignet cheeseburger?
I've never been brave enough to do that. I think my doctor would do bad things to me if he ever found out.
I'm with you. I don't think I could. I don't think I could go there. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready for that style of life.
It's a good Instagram food. It's probably not a good intestinal food.
Yes, you're not going to like what this does to you. Your mouth is going to like it. The rest of you won't.
Otherwise, I agree 100% with what you said. I love their food courts. They also have a huge variety. You're talking about the pasta station. That was my mother's absolute favorite. Like, that was what I'm sure that was the meal she looked forward to when we went down there. And they do a good job of, I'd say classic Disney offerings, but also, Southern and Louisiana fare. There's jambalaya and gumbo. There's blackened foods and voodoo chicken sandwich, shrimp po' boys. And then at the other side, Riverside, they have barbecue, prime rib, French dip, barbecue pork sandwiches. Like, they do a good job of keeping up with the theming as well.
Now, if you've ever been there at Riverside in the food court, every X number of minutes, they used to sing a song and encourage the cast members to sing along and encourage you to sing along. And it haunts my dreams to this day. Hopefully that never comes back. And every time it came on, we would laugh because the poor cast members looked as pained as we were. Now, I'm not going to sing any of it, but if you've been there, you know what it is. I'm hoping that goes away and just off into the sunset when they reopen.
I'm going to add one more love, and then we can get into the hates of the resort, if that's okay with everybody.
Please do.
The location of this resort, for some reason, might not seem optimal. But I will say, I think if you're going by bus, I'm just talking about bus right here, it is actually a pretty decent location, not just for Epcot, which is kind of right next door across, the way there, but the buses to the Magic Kingdom. You take the back route where there's only, I think, maybe one light. There might be two. If there's one I'm not thinking of. You go past Fort Wilderness.
You do.
You pop out, right by the monorail there. It takes you right down to the Magic Kingdom, where I think there's another light there by the parking lot. But it's actually a very quick, surprisingly quick boat ride. It'd be a fantastic boat ride to the Magic Kingdom. but it's also a surprisingly fast bus ride to the Magic Kingdom. I think a lot of people don't think about that.
That was on my list, actually.
Really?
Good
Awesome.
Location. Yep.
A little bit longer if you're going to the Animal Kingdom or the studios, just because of all the traffic lights. But
if you come with pets, and maybe some of you think, what? I don't know if I would do. Anyway, all I'm saying is if you're localish enough to be able to drive there and you bring a pet, they have one of the best pet boarding places that we've ever seen, literally right across from these resorts.
If I can actually jump on that too, because this is one of the 4 resorts that's dog friendly. So you can bring dog to this resort, and if you bring your dog, you get a complimentary Pluto's welcome kit with feeding mat, bowls, waste bags. So if you not other cool. Pets, just dogs, but dogs are welcomed here.
No pet gators.
Oh jeez!
They already have it.
They got those outside. What about the lounges, gents? Do you mind if I mention that real quick before we get into the massive hatred?
Oh, please, yes.
So, again, you guys know I'm a lounge fan, and so I'm of two minds here. First off, the ambience, the ambiance, as it were, of these lounges, the River Roost and Scat Cats, are hard to beat. They're two of the best places to kick back and relax anywhere on property, in my opinion, but not because of the drinks. And that's where we're going to go into the two minds thing. However, River Roost for years, and let's hope once again after these current times are over, had Piano Bob over there at Riverside. He played several nights a week at the River Roost. We've talked about that before in an episode, I think. But you roll up and you can you can go over to the food court or boat rights, which we haven't talked about. You can get your meal, then you can come back up the hallway there, get a drink there at the River Roost, and Piano Bob does his show, and it is loud and boisterous and funny and engaging, and just everybody that saw it loved it and became a fan. And then over at Scat Cats, as you can imagine, there's a jazz vibe. They would often have live piano going, and you can chill there. It's a lot smaller. It's a very small venue, but it's really cool. The downside, if there is one, they have a couple of drinks that would be kind of themed towards that type of location, but generally it's your standard Disney bar list. With even like weirdly like some tiki drinks mixed in, which is a little bit odd. But the lounges are awesome, and I can't wait for them to come back because on a personal note, this is the closest resort to where we live, and really miss it.
I'll jump in there too because I completely agree. And my first con, we'll get into Bob Jackson. It's a real sore spot with me.
Please do.
But it's not just Bob Jackson and jazz. My wife and I have also participated in trivia nights there. And we've also gone just for we watched the World Series game there, and it was fantastic atmosphere. My parents sat and watched, I feel bad for people who had to witness it from the other side of the coin, but watched the Patriots in their comeback against Atlanta down there. And they have amazing bartenders as well. These are highly coveted bartending jobs on site. These people are extremely good, and they have been working there for years. So the entertainment is wonderful too. But if you're really just looking for a bar on one of the off nights, they're good. They're well done, extremely well done.
We'll just go right into your hate there, Steven.
Yeah, let's just roll right into the hate because this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, so Bob Jackson is gone. I mean, and I cannot believe it. He's been a part of my personal Disney experience for 20 years. I think he was the single best performance on Disney property. He was an absolute blast. He knew how to get everyone in the crowd. In terms of like trying to describe him, you were saying like loud and boisterous. He was more like a vaudeville act, like from old times. Like he worked piano and a little bit of physical comedy on top of it, but he worked the crowd incredibly well. He would mingle the room before he'd come out, greet all the guests, ask your name. And then as the show went on, he'd actually call you out. He remembered people's names just in the middle of the show. He'd have you come up on stage, you dance, sing. It was unbelievable. It was fully immersive. Like there was no going to see a Bob Jackson show. You're a part of a Bob Jackson show.
That is a great sentence right there. You nailed it.
Yeah, and I know that he kept pictures of guests on his piano. And if you went up like a year later and said like, "Hey Bob, I'm Steve from Boston," he would turn around to his piano or to his pictures and point you out.
Wow.
He was just a super good guy. He was my grandfather's favorite. We actually flew him up to Massachusetts twice for my grandfather's 85th, 90th birthday.
Really?
I got to drive him around to meet him. Yeah, and he's super down to earth. He performs a couple nights at
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's just a great guy. And so, for him to be leaving really is tough. And the pandemic has hit so many people so hard. And it's just, you guys have had a couple of shows, you've talked about it and had some other guests talking about it. But the cast member experience is really what makes your vacation there. And to lose someone like him, it hurts. That's a tough one to deal with. And I'll, I mean, I have this whole kind of thing I thought about in terms of cast members when they come back. Just appreciate them,
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're chatting with them, get with them. They're there to make your trip the most memorable and wonderful. And it's, now that we've seen what can happen, don't take them for granted.
Wow.
Well, if I can riff on that at all, I will say that this topic is the closest that I will ever got to actual hate. And it's not even there, but like we've done a lot of these love and hates, and most of the time our hate is like, well, there's no microwave in the room.
Right.
But in this case, guys like Bob transform these places from a place to stay into a place to be. It's an event. These
Mm-hmm.
people give life to these resorts. Otherwise, they're just pretty buildings with rooms. And for Disney to let a guy like this go, and okay, I understand. Like literally, nobody could have come up against a scenario like this last year and not had to make some tough calls. I do understand that. However, with a company as big as Disney, and understanding that people like this don't come along every day, to let a person like Bob go, who guests would come particularly to see, would come just to this resort to see, is ludicrous, in my opinion, for the amount of money that they would have had to pay to retain him. There's no way that I can even understand that being a good decision.
100% agree about everything you just say. That was the, I don't mean to say like, oh, I could understand furlough, but for that one, it just didn't make sense for the long term. Even if you were thinking short term only cash flow, Bob is a staple. He is that resort to so many people. He would draw people in who weren't staying there because you would go to see his show, and it's
us.
Tough. It's tough. Yeah, us as well.
And also, you can't tell me that you couldn't put Bob Jackson up on a piano at the arena there in Disney Springs or at Epcot, and he wouldn't draw a pile of people. Are you kidding me?
My goodness.
Yeah. Yep. Without a doubt.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
all
guys,
right. I'm going to dial it back now.
No, I think that this is a good place to end the show because my hate was basically the same thing. I actually had my page here on the River Roost. I was going to talk about Bob Jackson, and I never got a chance to see him because schedule-wise, it just never worked out for me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have said it any better, guys. That's fantastic. All right. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I just love the resort. Good to talk about it.
Absolutely. We all get to get back. And who knows, maybe Bob Jackson will make another appearance at one point.
I really do have hope that that's the case.
As do I. I think that might be one of the ones where they realize that they need something back. They need him back.
Yeah. Once it opens back up, maybe we'll have some good news. Anyway, Steven, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Looper Nation on the Facebook group there. I'm pretty active. Feel free to reach out.
Awesome. And Jeremy Hunt.
Same for me. Find me on Looper Nation or Jeremy_Hunt_FL on Instagram.
Awesome. Same for me. Tim Scott, Facebook, Twitter, the website, ResortLoop.com. If you'd like to check out the resort, give me a look, call over there. Give me a call. Give me a look. Reach out to me over at ResortLoopTravel.com. Guys, thank you very much. You've been listening to The Gateway to the Magic. Steven, take us out.
See everybody.
You nailed it.
Well done.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoopTravelGroup.com.